1980s weren't just synthesizers and pop glitz. They were also a hidden renaissance of deep groove R&B bands who poured heart, harmony, and sweat into every note. Groups who filled late-night radio waves, slow dance gym floors, and neon-lit lounges. Some charted briefly, others stayed local legends, but each one left a mark you feel more than you hear. Let's honor the ones who deserved so much more. Number 10, Atlantic Starr.
Girl, you are to me.
Atlantic Starr floated through the 80s with the kind of polished, romantic sound that could turn a quiet living room into a candlelit memory. Formed in White Plains, New York, they started as a full horn-driven funk ensemble before smoothing their edges under A&M Records.
Girl, you are to me.
They were touring constantly, sharpening harmonies, learning how to break hearts gently. The turning point came when Barbara Weathers joined the group. Her voice, soft as velvet, but strong enough to hold center stage. Their hits like Secret Lovers and Always were wedding staples, radio staples, and Cry and Call Your Ex staples.
This is the finest man you have ever seen.
Yet, somehow, they never quite got the same cultural spotlight as groups like DeBarge or The Whispers. Close your eyes and you can still feel it. The soft sway at a family cookout, aunties humming along, uncles pretending not to tear up.
Touch of your hand, everything's right.
Atlantic Starr's music didn't shout. It breathed, it held, it endured. And if that was quiet romance, this next band brought the sunshine funk. Number 9, Surface Surface.
I can call my own to fall.
Came into the 80s with a sweeter than honey groove that felt like turning the pages of a love letter. Formed in New Jersey and eventually landing on Columbia Records, they were masters of the soft touch slow jam. Gentle keyboard lines, tender harmonies, lyrics that sounded like they were written in the middle of the night with someone on your mind. They weren't a flashy group, and that's part of why they slipped under the mainstream radar. But for those who know, Surface was everything. Tracks like Happy and Shower Me With Your Love weren't just songs.
Hypnotized with the things you.
They were the soundtrack of first dates, roller rink glides, and hand-in-hand walks home after the streetlights came on. There's a certain maturity in their production, a kind of emotional sincerity that's rare in any era. Listening now, you can almost feel the warm glow of a tape deck spinning in a bedroom lit only by the hall light.
You don't know how I feel for you.
Surface made love songs that didn't rush. They lingered. If that was love floating on air. This next group brought love down to the dance floor. Number 8, Midnight Starr. Midnight Starr came out of Kentucky State University with a mission: make the kind of funk that moves you. Signed to Solar Records, they sharpened their sound under the same label family that birthed Shalimar and The Whispers. Meaning they learned how to blend tight grooves with pure dance floor joy. While they had hits like Operator and Curious, they never quite reached the mass recognition of their funk contemporaries, despite being staples in every DJ's Friday night crate. Their music didn't just make you dance, it glowed. Those synth bass lines, bright horn stabs, robotic talkbox hooks. It felt like stepping into a neon-lit skating rink where everybody knows how to move. Midnight Starr carried the energy of parties that started at sunset and didn't let you go until the floor was slick and the speakers were sweating. Picture it. Shiny jackets, slow head bobs, someone trying their best spin move, and nobody judging. Midnight Starr was the joy, the laughter, the spark of the night. And while they brought the celebration, this next band brought smoothness with style. Number 7, the Deele.
Summer love is beautiful, but it's not enough.
The Deele was where sophistication met street-edge romance. A polished R&B sound with just enough funk glide to keep you swaying. Formed in Cincinnati and later rooted in the LA scene, the Deele became a quiet cornerstone of the 1980s R&B landscape. Signed to Solar Records, they carried that silky late-night candlelight vibe. The kind of music that lived on Slow Jam's radio hours when the world felt still and every lyric hit a little deeper. But here's the story most people don't realize. The Deele gave us two giants, L.A. Reid and Babyface. Before the Grammys, before the empires, before shaping the sound of R&B in the 1990s, they were just two young musicians trying to write the perfect slow burn love song.
To satisfy emotions that are shared between us.
And two occasions was that moment. A Quiet Storm classic, the kind of track that made lovers hold tighter and single hearts ache a little longer. You can almost see it now. A half-empty dance floor, dim lights, someone gathering the courage to ask for one last slow dance.
Jam this party out, make your body sweat and shout, a visual.
That was the Deele's gift. They made vulnerability sound beautiful. Now, if the Deele was all about late-night softness, this next band hit with raw, soul-rooted power. Number 6, Skyy. Skyy came straight out of Brooklyn with a groove that felt like summer heat rising from the pavement. Signed to Soul Records, the legendary home of disco's heartbeat, they crafted a sound that blended funk guitars, tight rhythm sections, and vocals that soared without ever losing the street-level warmth of their roots.
You're so special, there's no one else left.
They weren't trying to sound like anyone else. Skyy was urban elegance with a cosmic wink. Their breakthrough came with Call Me, a track that didn't just climb charts. It owned roller rinks, block parties, and Saturday night basement get-togethers. There was something about the way their music moved, confident but never loud, sensual without being showy. The kind of song where you catch your reflection in a dark window and realize you're swaying without thinking. They didn't always get the spotlight they deserved, overshadowed by larger label acts and the music market shifting rapidly toward the Minneapolis sound and New Jack swing. But those who lived it, they remember. You hear Skyy and it just feels like home. Barbecue smoke, laughter, the rhythm of community. If that groove had you floating, the next band is where we shift the mood. If these 1980s R&B gems are bringing back memories or making brand new ones, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It helps keep the music, the stories, and the soul alive. And stay with us. The top 5 are something special. Number 5, Loose Ends. Loose Ends brought a different flavor to 1980s R&B. Cool, smooth, and almost weightless. Like a breeze through an open window on a warm night. Formed in London, they were one of the first British groups to really understand and respect the Quiet Storm and soul tradition. Signed to Virgin Records, they blended jazz chords, subtle bass lines, and whispered harmonies that felt intimate. Like the song was sitting right beside you, telling secrets. Their breakout moment came with Hanging on a String, Contemplating, a track that slipped into the US R&B charts quietly and then refused to leave. It was elegant, mysterious, a little melancholy. The kind of song you play when you're thinking about someone you should have held on to longer.
I waited oh so long.
Loose Ends made music for the drive home after the party, when your heart is louder than the radio. Their legacy runs deep. You can hear their influence in neo-soul and Sade-adjacent minimalism in the softer corners of 90s R&B. They didn't need to shout. They let the silence between notes do half the talking.
Oh, could I be wrong for you?
If Loose Ends was late-night introspection, this next band was full-body joy, pure and simple. Number 4, the S.O.S. Band. The S.O.S. Band came out of Atlanta with grooves that felt like driving with the windows down at midnight. Smooth, steady, and full of promise. Signed to the Taboo Records, they blended warm live instrumentation with just the right amount of early synth sparkle. Their sound was soulful and futuristic. The perfect bridge between late 70s funk and what R&B would become in the 80s. Their story took a sharp turn when 2 young producers from Minneapolis, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, stepped in. Together, they created magic. Just be good to me. Tell me if you still care. Just the way you like it. Songs that didn't just chart. Songs that defined the sound of grown folks' love. The kind of records that made you lean back, close your eyes, and just feel.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Picture a dimly lit club in '83. Slow dancing couples holding each other like they mean it. The band's rhythm section pulsing like a heartbeat. The chorus floating like perfume in the air. The S.O.S. Band didn't rush you. They let the moment unfold. And while they created some of the most sensual and luxurious R&B of the decade, they rarely get name dropped the way they deserve. But anyone who has ever been wrapped up in a late-night love spell knows S.O.S. was the moment. If that was slow burn romance, this next group is pure, polished soul craftsmanship. Number 3, the Dazz Band. The Dazz Band came roaring out of Cleveland with a sound that was equal parts funk fire and R&B finesse. Signed to Motown during a time when the label was shifting and redefining itself, the Dazz Band didn't just adapt. They ignited. Their name came from their purpose, danceable jazz. And that's exactly what they delivered. When Let It Whip hit in 1982, it didn't just chart. It took over. Roller rinks, cookouts, club dance floors, backyard reunions. You could hear that bass line from parking lots before you even walked in the door. But here's the thing. While that song became a cultural anthem, the Dazz Band themselves never quite got the household recognition they deserved. They had the musicianship, the harmonies, the groove. They could play live with the kind of precision that made you believe in music as a craft again. And when they performed, they didn't just play the song. They stretched it, reshaped it, made it breathe. Close your eyes and you can see it. The spotlight bouncing off a sax bell, sweat shining on the drummer's arms, a crowd that refuses to sit down. The Dazz Band was alive on stage. And that's something no chart ranking can ever measure. If that was pure funk-driven celebration. This next band brought lush romantic elegance to a whole new level. Number 2, Switch. Switch was elegance, tenderness, and heart, wrapped in harmonies that felt like silk. Formed in Michigan and later signed to Gordy/Motown, Switch had a gift that set them apart from almost every R&B band of their era. They could all sing, and several of them could sing lead. This gave their records a depth, a softness, a human warmth that made every song feel intimate. Their signature track, There'll Never Be, written by Bobby DeBarge, is one of those songs that doesn't just play in the room.
Gotta let her know she's mine.
It settles in your chest. Bobby's falsetto wasn't just high. It was fragile, emotional, trembling with honesty. And behind him, the band supported not with ego, but with devotion. You can hear the brotherhood, the shared breath, the collective ache. Switch lived through tough times too. Label pressure, lineup shifts, personal struggles, Bobby's tragic arc. Their story isn't simple, but the music was pure. The kind of songs that sound like slow dancing in a quiet kitchen, lights low, hands resting lightly on someone you care about. They influenced DeBarge. They influenced the Quiet Storm era. They influenced the blueprint of emotional male R&B vocals that came after. But the spotlight didn't stay on them, not the way it should have. And now, we've reached the top. Nothing, and I mean nothing, can prepare you for the brilliance, the groove, the mastery waiting at number one. Number one, The System. The System didn't just make R&B. They reshaped what it could sound like. Formed in New York by vocalist Mike Murphy and producer the keyboard alchemist David Frank, The System blended soul singing with electronic production before it became the mainstream wave. They were pioneers, layering warm, emotional vocals over icy synth tones and deep mechanical bass lines. This was the blueprint for what the world would later call modern R&B. Their breakout track, Don't Disturb This Groove, wasn't loud, wasn't flashy. It was smooth. It was the sound of quiet confidence. It felt like dim lights in a private lounge, perfume on the air, two people moving slowly because they want to. The System understood that sensuality didn't need to shout. It could whisper and still captivate everyone within earshot. They were years ahead of their time, inspiring producers and artists who would shape the next decade. Janet Jackson's control-era sound, Guy's New Jack Swing textures, and even early neo-soul's lush ambience. Yet, they rarely get mentioned outside serious soul and studio circles. But if you've ever heard that bass line slide in, you remember. You don't forget the groove that doesn't break, only deepens. From Brooklyn block party funk to transatlantic quiet storm whispers. From romantic slow jams to futuristic soul architecture. These 10 underrated R&B soul bands of the 1980s reminded us that music isn't just something you hear. It's something you feel. Thank you for taking this soulful ride with us. Whether you lived these songs the first time or you're discovering them brand new. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe to keep the groove alive. We've got so many more forgotten gems and timeless soul stories waiting for you. And don't go far. Up next, 10 forgotten one-hit R&B wonders from 1972. It's already queued up. Just click and let's keep the night going.